Okay, hey guys. So I was recently getting the question about like what is something that you can do to just get like easy, quick results for having like providing digital services to companies before you actually go all in and creating an agency and investing and setting up the website and setting up your social media and really like setting up your brand. So, because I know like when I first started my agency, and this is what most people do, is like you do have to put a bit of time and development in the beginning to just learn how to set everything up and to like create the website and to create your services and packagings and also to do outbound marketing, which is like cold messaging. Usually you're going to be getting on like Sales Navigator and paying for subscription to get contacts of all of the business company owners for businesses that you would want to work with. Or if you're doing cold email, you have to pay for like subscription to automation software. If you're doing LinkedIn automation, Facebook automation, all of these things are like subscriptions that you have to pay for. So if you're not really comfortable with like paying for all these things in the beginning, because you're not sure if it's going to work, or maybe you just don't have like any money to invest into it. The good news is that it's actually possible for you to just start providing services to companies without doing any of those things. It can be a little bit more time consuming to do it this way. This is more of like a manual method, and you're not going to be able to charge as much because you're not really presenting yourself as like a professional agency. You would be presenting yourself as more of like a freelancer. But these things can definitely work where you can provide services and start making a little bit of money. And then you can just get the swing of it, see if you like it. And then after that, you can work on developing your actual professional agency where you can charge more and you can reach out to a lot more people doing it that way. So I'm going to share a couple of methods that you can do. And I'll just use like an example of like web design. So say you want to provide like web design services for companies. You can just hop on Google. And this is just one example because home services are really popular where a lot of home services, they might not have a website, or maybe they have a website, but it's like really bad and outdated. So what you can do is you can just search, I just did like house cleaning services, Los Angeles, and then you'll come down to where it has businesses. And then you can just look through this list of businesses and you can see which ones have a website. I think all of these, because they're already showing up on the top of Google, they all have a website. However, if you want to like go through the list and go towards the end of the list, there's going to definitely be companies on here that don't have a website. So let's see if I can just find one. This was just like a random example I just put in. Like this one, Directions Call Share, they have no website. So what I would do is just go for their phone number, but I don't want to actually call them at this moment. But see, you can look on here. Then you have their phone number right here. So you can call them. You can also see if they have a Facebook page. There they are on MapQuest. They might not even have a Facebook page. So the thing is some of these businesses, they might not have anything. So you can just like fill in the gaps and see what they need. Like maybe they need a website. Maybe they need help with social media. Maybe they need help with search engine optimization so that they'll show up at the top of Google. So that's why if you look for businesses that are like at the very, very bottom of the list, they will probably really need a lot of help. And what I would do is I would just call them or text them. It might not be like the funnest thing, but you can just, do it to just try it out in the beginning because it can be very effective and you don't have to do it in like a weird way like you're a salesperson. You can basically just call them and say like, hey, is this the owner of Madison's Cleaning Services? And then they're like, yeah, that's me. And then you'll just say something like, oh, okay, I just found your company on Google and I just had a question about it. Do you have like 2 minutes? I could just talk. And then they'll be like, okay, sure. Yeah. What's your question? And then you want to just give them like a little bit of information. Like, yeah, I saw all the other cleaning services in Los Angeles. They were having like some really nice websites, and they were like having Facebook pages and posting a lot of their work on there, things that they were doing, like promotions that they were having. I just saw that you didn't have any website. Is that something that you were planning to do? Just curious why you didn't have a website. And then you can just hear back from them, like why they don't have a website. Maybe they're like, oh, I don't know how to make a website. I don't have time to make a website. I don't have money to make a website. Or they might just say something like, oh, I don't need a website because we have a lot of referrals. But most likely they're going to say one of the things before. So then you just say like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, yeah, it can be a bit difficult to figure out how to make a website. Or, a lot of people, they charge like $2,000 to make a website for you. And then you can just give like a little bit of an introduction, like, okay, so I'm Michelle, and I was really interested in like website design and development. So I just did like a whole training course on how to do it. And I actually just made a few example websites like as a practice. And so I just wanted to see if you wanted one of the websites that I already made, and I would just basically customize it, especially for your brand and your services, and I could add in all the information about it. But since it was just like a practice website for me, I can just give it to you for like a really, really cheap price, because I just want to get like some examples for my portfolio. And you can decide how much you want to charge. Maybe you say like, I can just give it to you for like $200, even though I spent like 50 hours working on it. And then they'll be like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I definitely want to get that. So that's the thing about like, if you do this kind of an approach, like obviously you can't say like, oh, it's going to be like a $2,000 website, but you can just say like, yeah, I'm just learning how to do it. And I just want like an example for my portfolio, or maybe I just want a testimonial for how it is to work with me. And then you can just charge them like $200. And then you can basically just have a freelancer from Fiverr or something just make the whole thing for like maybe $100 to make sure it's actually good. And then you make $100. So that's just like a small, quick win you can do where you can just like practice the process and everything. And that being said, I don't ever do cold calling because I prefer to do things like with automation, because I'm like living in Thailand and I don't want to stay up all night calling people. But I do know a lot of people that do this exact same method of cold calling, and it does work, especially if you're willing to just like spend time on it, because people may or may not answer. It might go to voicemail. If they don't answer, you can always text them. So you can text them and say like, hey, I found your cleaning service on Google. I just had a couple questions about the services that you provide. When would be a good time for me to call you? So you want to like text them to try to get them on the phone, but you don't want to say like, hey, do you want a website for your company? Because then they'll be like, oh, it's a salesperson. You want to be kind of like doing like a little bit of like a covert process. Like you don't want them to know that you're trying to sell them something. So I hope that all makes sense. I'm just going to share like one other example. If you, for example, wanted to use Facebook. So Facebook is another great way to find like different types of business owners. And it's also essentially free. You can do it all manually. Like coaches, for example, coaches, consultants, and course creators. This is like a huge money-making industry where, these people are making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And they probably need help with their business as well. So for example, like coaches are going to need help with like Facebook ads, for example. So what you can do is you can go to the members. I would go to members that have things in common, because most likely you can actually get a hold of them. On Facebook, you can't just message anybody that you want. You have to just message people that you're somewhat connected to. So you can see this is like Reiki Master at Allison Statman Coaching. You can add her as a friend. And then if she accepts your friend request, you can send her a message, or you can send her a message before she accepts your friend request. However, she might not see the message if you're not friends because it goes into the spam folder. And then you basically just message them and say, like, so you would want to just look at her if she has a company page. Let's see. So viewing the main profile. So here's the company page. So you can see like her company page does have like a decent amount of followers and engagement. Probably she wouldn't really want help with like actual posts because it's like more of a personal thing. However, if it's like a clothing company or a health food company or any sort of product, then they would probably definitely want help with just like content creation and making posts and things like that. But what I would do is like, you can see she's not doing too much. She hasn't posted since July 14th and she's probably not even running ads. So I would just message her and say like, hey, I found out about your coaching business from a Facebook group, was really interested in what you're doing. I just had a couple questions if that's okay with you. And then probably she'll be like, oh yeah, sure, ask away. And then you can just ask like something like, so I was just curious, how are you getting most of your customers and clients? And then they might say something like, oh, from Facebook or Instagram or word of mouth or referral. And then you can say like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Have you ever thought about running like Facebook ads? Have you ever tried it before? And most likely she'll be saying like, oh no, I didn't want to like, risk spending money on something like that. Or like, yeah, maybe I tried it, but I didn't get any results from it. And then you can just say like, oh, okay, that's cool. Well, I've been learning a lot about Facebook ads recently, and actually like we've learned like a really good process for coaches in specific. If you want to talk about it more on a call, would you be free like on Wednesday at 12 o'clock? And so this is a little bit more advanced. You definitely don't have to know like everything about Facebook ads in order to do this. As long as you just know like the gist of it, then you can definitely just like talk to her about it. And basically you just would want to like get on a call with her because it is a bit more of like a specific service. And you don't have to do Facebook ads. You can basically change this to any sort of service like graphic design. Like maybe she needs help with graphic design. You can look at her website. Oh, it looks like she might not even have a website. So you can maybe ask her about a website. Does she need like help with a website? But I'm just saying Facebook is a great place to find business owners. So it's a good place to look. You can do all of this manually. The thing with providing digital services to companies is you don't need anything fancy to start with. You can always say like you're a freelancer or you're just starting off your company and you don't really need a website. It would be great if you could potentially get like some example website and just say like, yeah, this is one that we did before. Maybe it's something that your freelancer has done. And then you just want to have a conversation with them and then just give them like an irresistible offer. Like, we'll just do your Facebook ads for like $100 a month or something. And you can either do it yourself or have a freelancer do it. We can make your website for like $200. We can give you a new logo for like, $50. And the thing is on Fiverr is you can still find freelancers that will be able to do a good job with this. And you can still make like a small amount of money. So that being said, I hope you guys could see that tab I was sharing. So anyways, that being said, this is how you can get some quick wins with providing digital services. Let me know if you have any questions, and I can always go into more detail on any of these things in another video. But anyways, thanks for watching.